Good news, guys. Quentin Tarantino is coming back with a 10th movie. This, like most of his projects, will be a completely new and original story, and it'll also be his last production. That means it won't be a Star Trek movie, and more devastatingly, it won't be Kill Bill Volume 3 either. In this video, we'll take a look at the tale of the fabled Kill Bill sequels, and we'll be talking about this new movie. First off, here's what Tarantino has said about his next movie. The director was speaking to Elvis Mitchell of IndieWire to promote his upcoming book, Cinema Speculation, and he said offhand that he would love to adapt Elmore Leonard's novel Stick for the big screen. However, Tarantino chose to base the character of Cliff Booth, played to perfection by Brad Pitt, off the title of the character of that book, and that's about all he's gonna do with it. At that point, he declared that his 10th and final movie will be a totally original story. If there was any hope left that the fabled second Kill Bill duology was going to happen, this may well be the end of the line. It might not come as a huge shock, since the director hasn't even talked about it recently, even as he's made a fair few movies since the second Kill Bill installment. In any case, Tarantino prefers doing original movies. In fact, in some recent tirades against the Marvel franchise, Tarantino complained that he was one of the few directors left who made original movies anymore. So what could the 10th movie be about? Tarantino has only said that it will be a mic drop movie to cap off his entire career as a director. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood could have fit that bill, but as he sees it, that was his 9th movie. So it'll be interesting to see what note Tarantino wants to end his time in Hollywood on. Now, some of you might be asking, what's this about more Kill Bill movies? The speculation over a 3rd and 4th Kill Bill movie actually dates back to the production of Kill Bill Volume 2. Back then, he was also writing a Reservoir Dogs novelization and working on a stage play called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's how long ago that was. Anyway, at the time, he thought he would be doing Kill Bill 2-parters every decade. He confirmed his plans to Entertainment Weekly in 2004, though by then, he was now looking to wait 15 years before diving back into the world of Kill Bill. But he had a plotline worked out and everything. The movie would see young Nicky taken in by Sophie Fatale, who gains access to Bill's money. Nicky would eventually grow up and seek revenge against the bride for killing her mom. Tarantino was so determined about this, he considered shooting some scenes in advance to get the actors at that age. In 2007, details emerged about the plots of Volume 3 and 4. The 3rd movie would have been about the revenge of 2 killers whose arms and eyes were hacked out by the bride, and the 4th would have been about daughters avenging their mother's deaths. So basically, the thing with Nicky. 2 years later, Tarantino said that the movie, his 9th, would come out in 2014. The fact that it had been 10 years after the last one was intentional. Coming up, here's when the story of this duology took a worrying turn. Remember how Kill Bill Volume 3 was totally coming out in 2014? Well, in 2012, Tarantino was feeling very different about the whole idea, saying that he didn't think he was ever going to continue the Kill Bill story, but he said that he hadn't decided one way or the other. The pendulum swung the other way in 2016 when it was reported that Tarantino had broached the subject of a 3rd movie with Uma Thurman, but nothing was finalized. In 2018, during the storm of the Me Too movement, Uma Thurman revealed an incident that took place during the production of Kill Bill Volume 1. You see, both Kill Bills were produced by Miramax, which was founded and run by none other than Harvey Weinstein and his brother Bob. While shooting a scene in which Uma Thurman drove a car, Tarantino recklessly forced her to drive an unsafe car on an unsafe road, which led to an accident that shook Thurman. Though she wasn't mad at Tarantino, she was mad at Miramax for withholding the footage unless she waived the company of any legal liability from what happened. That sounded like the death knell for Kill Bill, but in 2019, Tarantino revealed that Thurman herself had suggested an interesting idea for the movie. He was once again energized about Kill Bill and said that the movie was definitely coming out at least 3 years later. Now, here we are, 3 years later, and no Kill Bill in sight. Last year, Tarantino revealed the working concept for the movie at the time.
I mean, even like something like Kung Fu Panda is just a straight-up parody of Kill Bill.
Which might have been the one that Uma Thurman came up with. In this version of the movie, Beatrix Kiddo and her kiddo Bibi would be on the run after 20 years of peace. The director had the bright idea of casting Uma as Beatrix and her daughter Maya Hawke as an older Bibi, and he'd even had some experience working with Hawke on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He teased appearances from Elle Driver, Sophie Fatale, and Chiaki, sister of Gogo. And then later that same month, he dashed our hopes one more time by saying that nothing was in the works, and he was reluctant to even start because of how tiring the first 2 Kill Bills had been. This is our first update since then, and Tarantino is once again saying that he won't be making the Kill Bill movies. But who even knows at this point? He's gone back and forth so much on it that by the time you reach the end of this video, he might have already announced a release date for the movie next weekend. The affair of the second Kill Bill duology has had as many twists and turns as the first 2 movies had themselves. Maybe we should have given up on it a long time ago, the way most people did. Moving on, if you're not ready to give up, we have one more spark of hope to offer you. If you dig up a list of Quentin Tarantino's filmography, you might notice something a bit odd. According to that list, the director has already made 10 movies, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being the 10th. That was part of the reason why that movie was so hyped. Tarantino had been saying for a long time he would only ever make 10 movies, and that was the 10th. But he later reassured us that he still had 1 movie left to give. The reason for that is that he considers the 2 Kill Bills to be 1 movie. That makes sense, all things considered. Although they were released separately for marketing reasons, the movies had been shot back to back and even released less than a year apart. So this is what we're thinking. Maybe, just maybe, Tarantino considers the entire Kill Bill franchise to be 1 movie. That way, he can continue making Kill Bills all the livelong day without disturbing his 10-movie count. He can give us the Kill Bill sequels we're desperate for, while also giving us his original ideas that we're also desperate for. We've cracked the code, guys. Okay, we do realize that this is insane, but you never know, right? This 10-movie thing was imposed by Tarantino on himself, and he can interpret his own rules any way he wants. Finally, when can we expect Tarantino's 10th and final movie? Well, it won't be anytime soon. In an appearance on Who's Talking to Chris Wallace, the director explained his reasoning to the anchor.
Like I write from the, when I write my scripts, I start with the first scene and then just go through the story.
After 30 years of making movies, Tarantino feels like he's given his whole life to the job, and it led him to delay starting his own family. He wants audiences to be left wanting more, and he also doesn't want to become someone who's old and out of touch, which he already kind of feels he's become, considering the movies that are coming out these days.
Well, it's funny. I've always really liked movies about making movies and stuff. I had to make a few of them before I could actually...
These reasons, he isn't in a huge hurry to get cracking on his last movie. At the moment, he's dialed in on the cinema speculation, and he's working on some other things. In fact, apart from knowing his final movie will be an original concept, he doesn't really know what his closer will even be about. Speaking of being out of touch with movies, the director is even trying to figure out what to make of theatrical releases and streaming releases in the modern day.
I come up with all these characters, I create all these stories, I come up with all these running jokes that he loves.
Though he took great advantage of both with The Hateful Eight, could Tarantino be waiting for the cinema industry to return to normal?
I let something at the screen kind of look at him to make sure it's okay. He's like, ha ha ha, he's like happy that I'm having a good time.
If he is, it'll be a long wait. Theaters were so badly hurt by the pandemic that things are never gonna be the same for them. Whatever the case, don't get too excited for Tarantino to release his closing argument yet. That's it for today's video. Let us know in the comment section below what you think Tarantino's next and final movie will be. Also, why not commiserate with us on our longing for more Kill Bill? But whatever you do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.